It was one of those quiet weekday mornings at Evergreen Bank. Sunlight on the floor, soft music playing, and only a couple of customers waiting. Behind the counter stood Henry Dalton, a polished, confident man in his late 50s. Everyone in town called him the millionaire banker. He wore expensive suits, drove a brand new SUV, and had a reputation for never hiding his pride. Henry believed life was simple. People with money matter. People without it don't. But that morning, someone walked in who was about to challenge everything he believed. The doors opened slowly, and an older woman entered, small, tired, leaning on a cane. Her coat was patched in 2 places, and her shoes were worn thin, almost folded at the edges. She smiled politely at everyone, the kind of soft smile only people who've struggled their whole life still manage to carry. Her name was Mrs. Evelyn Brooks, but everyone just called her Miss Evelyn. A retired elementary school cafeteria worker. A woman who never raised her voice, never owed anyone a cent, and baked cookies for every kid in her neighborhood. She stepped up to Henry's window, holding her faded checkbook. "Good morning, sir," she said kindly. "Could you help me check my account balance?" Henry glanced at her clothes, her old purse, her trembling hands. He smirked. It wasn't loud. It wasn't cruel, but it was that quiet, dismissive laugh, the kind rich people use when they think someone is too poor to matter. "Your balance," he repeated. "Of course, ma'am. Let's take a look." He fully expected to see a near-empty account, but what he was about to discover would change his life forever. Henry typed her account number with casual arrogance, still wearing that half-smile, the kind that said, "I already know what I'm going to see." Miss Evelyn waited patiently, holding her cane with both hands, her eyes gentle and hopeful. The screen loaded. Henry froze. Blinking, he leaned closer. He cleared his throat, his smirk disappearing, replaced by disbelief. Evelyn Brooks available balance. $2 for 87, 920.18 for a moment. Henry genuinely thought the system glitched. He refreshed the page. Same number. He checked recent deposits, large transfers from investment accounts, interest payouts, dividends. Miss Evelyn? A multi-millionaire? Henry's throat went dry. This woman who walked in wearing an old patched coat was wealthier than most CEOs in their entire city. Evelyn peeked over the counter, worried by his silence. Is something wrong, dear?" "And no," Henry stuttered. "Your balance is healthy. Very healthy." She chuckled softly. "Oh good. I was nervous my last donation might have bounced." "Donation?" he asked. She nodded proudly. "I send money every month to the Children's Heart Foundation. They help little ones get surgeries their families can't afford. My husband and I started donating after we lost our daughter many years ago." Henry swallowed, struck by her calm humility. Then she added quietly, "Money doesn't mean much unless it's helping someone." The words hit him harder than he expected. He had spent his whole life collecting wealth to show power. She spent hers giving quietly, without any need for recognition. For the first time in years, he felt ashamed of the man he had become. Miss Evelyn continued speaking, unaware of how deeply her words were landing. "You know," she said gently, "I worked at the school cafeteria for 33 years. Kids would come in with empty lunch accounts, some too embarrassed to say anything. I'd slip them an extra sandwich or a cookie. Small kindnesses matter." Henry felt something tighten in his chest. She wasn't bragging. She wasn't performing. She was simply sharing pieces of a life lived in kindness. "I invested a little every month," she continued. "My husband taught me before he passed. Nothing fancy, just patience, slow growth. We wanted to make sure we could continue helping others long after we were gone." Henry looked at his own reflection on the screen. For so many years, he'd looked down on people like her, thinking wealth defined worth. Yet here she stood, quietly doing more good than he had ever done with his millions. She leaned in. "Could you help me print my full statement? I want to check how much more I can donate this year." Her smile was so gentle, so sincere, that Henry felt his throat tighten. He printed the papers with hands that suddenly didn't feel so steady. When he handed them over, she placed her small, warm hand on his. "Thank you, son," she whispered. "You've been very kind." Kind? He had laughed at her, judged her, underestimated her, and yet she thanked him. Something inside him cracked open, something he hadn't felt in decades. Humility, and then compassion. "Miss Evelyn," he said softly, "would you allow me to walk you out? And maybe help carry your things?" Her eyes lit up. Oh my, that would be lovely. At that moment, Henry Dalton decided he didn't just want to have money, that he wanted to do something good with it. Henry walked her outside, the winter air crisp against their faces. He helped her down the steps, carrying her statement folder as if it were something precious. "Miss Evelyn," he said carefully, "if you ever need assistance managing your investments or planning donations, I would be honored to help. For free." She looked up at him with soft surprise. "For free? Honey, you don't have to. I want to," he said with sincerity he hadn't felt in years. "Because you've reminded me what money is really for." She patted his arm. "Then I'd be happy to have your help." That afternoon, Henry closed his office door and sat quietly for a long time, thinking, reflecting, changing, that he realized something powerful. He had been measuring life by the wrong scale: status, ego, appearance. But Miss Evelyn measured life in kindness, in hearts healed, in children given second chances. To be why the end of the week, Henry created a new program at the bank, the Evelyn Brooks Community Fund, a fund dedicated to helping local families with medical bills, school lunches, and emergency needs. He didn't put his own name on it, only hers. When he told her about it, she cried softly and hugged him, a warm, grandmotherly hug that melted every remaining wall around his heart. "Thank you," she whispered. "My husband would have been proud." And for once, being thanked actually meant something.